Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going back 150 years back to the open plains of the American West. The year is 1873, and somewhere out on the long grass of the Texas Trail, a dozen tired cowboys are making camp for the night. There's nothing you need to do now, nothing to remember, nothing to solve. If you drift off in the middle of a sentence, that's exactly how this is supposed to work. The story will go on without you, quiet and slow, like a campfire burning low. So settle into your blankets, let your shoulders sink, let your breathing slow down, the way it does when a long day is finally over. Tonight, you'll ride with the herd for a little while. You'll smell the wood smoke and the coffee. You'll hear the cattle settling in the dark, and the soft voice of a night rider singing to keep them calm. And little by little, you'll let it all carry you down into sleep. The West we're visiting tonight isn't the West of gunfights and noise. Most nights out here were nothing like that. Most nights were just this: tired men, tired animals, a small fire under an enormous sky, and the long, patient quiet of the prairie. That's where we're going. Close your eyes now, if you haven't already. The sun is going down over the grasslands, and the day's work is almost done. It is late April, 1873, in North Texas, cattle country. For 3 weeks now, a crew of 11 men has been moving a herd of about 2,000 longhorn cattle north along the trail toward Kansas. They make maybe 12 miles on a good day, some days less. Nobody hurries a herd. Hurrying walks the weight off the cattle, and weight is money, so the whole world out here moves at a walking pace. The afternoon light has gone gold and heavy. The grass, blue stem and buffalo grass, knee-high and endless, leans in the warm wind, moving in long, slow waves like water. As far as you can see in any direction, there is grass and sky and the dark, slow river of cattle drifting through it. The men ride loose and easy in their saddles. They've been up since before dawn. Their hats are pulled low against the western sun. Nobody talks much this time of day. There's just the creak of saddle leather, the soft thud of hooves in the dirt, and the low, constant murmur of the herd. 2,000 animals breathing and walking and grazing as they go. Up ahead, the trail boss rises in his stirrups and studies the land to the north. He's looking for tonight's camp. Water, good grass, level ground. He finds it where a shallow creek bends through a stand of cottonwood trees. He raises one hand and turns his horse in a slow half circle. The day's drive is over. The cattle feel the change before anything is said. The pressure of the drive eases, and the herd begins to slow and spread and lower its heads into the grass along the creek. The riders drift out around them in a wide, loose circle, not pushing now, just present, letting the animals graze, letting them water in small groups at the creek's edge, where the last of the sunlight lies flat and copper on the moving water. This is the gentlest hour of the working day. The heat is fading. The wind has softened. A meadowlark sings somewhere off in the grass. One thin, sweet line of music, and then falls quiet. The sky in the west has gone to orange and rose, with long ribbons of cloud burning slowly at their edges. Out here, there is nothing to break the horizon. No buildings, no fences, no roads. So the sunset takes up half the world, and the men, without quite meaning to, keep glancing at it as they work. One by one, the cattle drink and graze and grow still. By the time the first star shows itself, low in the east, the herd has begun to bed down. 2,000 animals folding their legs beneath themselves in the deep grass, settling in slow waves, the way they do every night. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds, dark shapes going quiet against the darkening ground. The men watch it happen the way you'd watch a tide go out. It has been a good day. Nothing lost, nothing hurt, and now the evening can begin. A little way off from the herd, in the shelter of the cottonwoods, the chuckwagon is already at rest, and the cook is already at work. His name is Amos. He's the oldest man in the crew by 20 years, gray in his beard, slow and deliberate in everything he does. He was cooking for trail crews when most of these young riders were learning to walk. Out here, the cook runs the camp. Even the trail boss waits his turn at Amos's fire. The wagon's tailgate folds down into a work table. Amos has his sourdough biscuits going in a heavy iron Dutch oven, buried in coals, with more coals shoveled onto the lid. There's a pot of beans that has been simmering since mid-afternoon, thick with salt pork. There's a blackened 2-gallon pot of coffee, strong enough, the men like to say, to float a horseshoe. The smells drift out across the camp and reach the riders as they come in. Wood smoke, bacon grease, baking bread, coffee. It's the smell of the day being over. Every man on this crew will remember that smell for the rest of his life. They come to the fire in 2s and 3s, unsaddling first, turning their horses out to the rope corral. They fill their tin plates and find places to sit, on bedrolls, on saddles, on the wagon tongue, and for a while there is no sound in camp but the fire snapping, spoons on tin, and the wind moving through the cottonwood leaves overhead, soft as rain. Supper on the trail is a quiet ceremony. The men eat slowly because there's no reason to hurry anymore. Beans and biscuits, a little stewed dried apple if Amos is feeling generous. The coffee goes around again and again. 10 cups, hot to the touch, held in both hands as the evening cools. The talk, when it comes, is low and unhurried. Somebody mentions the creek crossing they'll make tomorrow. Somebody wonders out loud about the price of beef in Abilene this season. Somebody else says his horse, the little bay he calls Preacher, has finally quit trying to bite him. And the men laugh softly, the way you laugh when you're too tired from war. The youngest hand on the crew is a boy of maybe 16 on his first drive north. He fights to keep his eyes open, chin dipping toward his chest, and the older men glance at him and say nothing. They remember their own first drives. They remember that particular tiredness, the kind that lives deep in the bones and is somehow almost sweet. The fire burns down to a bed of orange coals. Amos banks it carefully for the morning. Beyond the ring of firelight, the prairie has gone fully dark now. The herd is a field of low, breathing shadows. The sky overhead is filling up with stars, more stars than any of us will ever see from a city. The whole Milky Way laid out like a river of light from one edge of the world to the other. One by one, the men rinse their plates in the wreck pan and go to find their bedrolls. A cowboy's bed is a simple thing. A canvas tarp, a couple of wool blankets, a saddle for a pillow. He rolls it out on the flattest ground he can find, boots set close by, hat resting over them to keep the dew out. The men settle in without much talk, a murmured good night, the creak of someone turning over, a long sigh that says everything there is to say about a 14-hour day. The night is cool now, and the blankets are warm, and the ground, hard as it is, feels absolutely right to a body this tired. There's a particular pleasure in it that feather beds never quite match. The pleasure of having earned your rest all the way down. Above them, the sky does its slow, ancient work. The stars wheel westward, so gradually you'd never catch them moving. A shooting star draws a thin, bright line and is gone before anyone can point. Out in the dark, the herd breathes. 2,000 animals at rest make a sound like the sea heard from far away. A low, endless, gentle rumble of breath and shifting weight. It is, the old hands will tell you, the best sleeping sound in the world. As long as you can hear it, all is well. The boy on his first drive is already gone, dead asleep, one arm thrown over his eyes. The fire ticks and settles. The prairie holds them all, the way it has held travelers and buffalo, and 10,000 years of nights before this one, easily, patiently, without any effort at all. But the herd is never left alone. All night, in shifts of 2 hours, 2 riders at a time circle the sleeping cattle, slow as a walk can be, moving in opposite directions, passing each other twice each round. Tonight, the first watch belongs to a Missouri man named Ellis and his partner Joe, riding the far side. Their horses walk soft-footed in the dark, and know this work so well they hardly need guiding. The night riders sing. It's not for pleasure, though it becomes a pleasure. It's the oldest trick of the trail. A sudden noise in the dark can startle cattle to their feet, but a low, steady human voice coming around and around tells the herd all night long, nothing is wrong, nothing is wrong, nothing is wrong. So Ellis sings, hymns mostly, the ones his mother taught him, slowed down to the pace of a walking horse, and from the far side of the herd, faint as a memory, Joe's voice drifts back, singing something of his own, the 2 songs weaving together over the backs of the sleeping cattle. The moon comes up, a day past full, and lays a soft silver light over everything. The grass, the still water of the creek, the long, dark shadows and sings and watches the stars turn. He'll tell people years from now, when the trails are all fenced and gone, that those night watches were the most peaceful hours of his whole life. Listen to the prairie at night, and you begin to understand how much life is out there in the grass. Far off, a mile, maybe two, a coyote lifts its voice, that high, wavering call that rises and breaks and trails away. Another answers, farther still. The cattle don't stir. They know that sound as well as they know the wind. It's just the prairie talking to itself. Closer in, the crickets keep their steady pulse in the grass. Thousands of them, a soft, ringing rhythm that never quite stops. The heartbeat of the warm season. A nighthawk passes overhead with a whir of wings, hunting moths in the dark. The creek murmurs along its stones, saying the same few quiet syllables over and over. And under everything, always, the wind. It never really dies out here. It just gets gentle at night, moving through miles and miles of grass with a sound like a long, slow breath. The grass leans and rises and leans again. The cottonwood leaves tremble and whisper on their stems. These are old sounds. The Comanche and the Kiowa slept to these same sounds on this same ground for generations beyond counting. The buffalo herds, 60 million strong, not long before this night, slept inside this same wind. The sounds don't belong to anyone. They just go on. The men in their bedrolls don't hear any of it anymore. Not really. It has all become one thing. One deep, soft, continuous hush. The sound of the world minding itself while tired creatures sleep. While the camp sleeps, let your mind drift up and away for a moment, high over the moonlit grass, and look north, the way the trail runs. It runs for hundreds of miles, this trail, worn into the earth by millions of hooves, north out of Texas, across the Red River, through the open lands of the Indian Territory, and on toward the railheads of Kansas, Abilene, Ellsworth, later Dodge City. Small clusters of lamplight out there on the plains. Weeks of walking away. That's where the herd is going, at 12 slow miles a day. There the cattle will step into rail cars, and the rails will carry them east, and the men will be paid maybe $100 for 3 months of this, and most of them will turn around and ride the long way home again under these same stars. Some of the men out here are Confederate veterans with nothing to go back to. Some are black cowboys. 1 rider in 4 on these trails is free men making a free man's wage. Some are Mexican vaqueros whose grandfathers invented half of this work, the saddle, the lasso, the very word rodeo. A few, like the boy, are just children who wanted to see the far side of the horizon. Out here, none of that history matters much. What matters is that you sit your horse, do your watch, and hold your temper. The trail is hard, but it is fair. And tonight, for all of them, it leads exactly here, to warm blankets, deep grass, and rest. Riding his slow circles, Ellis lets his thoughts wander, the way night riders always have. He thinks about the farm in Missouri where he grew up, the oak tree by the porch, the smell of rain coming across the fields in June. He thinks about his sister's letters, which catch up to him in the trail towns, 3 or 4 at a time, and how she always ends them the same way. Come home when the grass turns. He thinks, without hurry, about what he'll do with his pay. A new saddle, maybe. Or maybe he'll finally see New Orleans. Or maybe, and he smiles at himself in the dark, maybe he'll just save it, like he tells himself every drive, and buy a little piece of grass and water somewhere, and run cattle of his own someday. These are good thoughts to think at a walking pace. Nothing needs deciding tonight. The horse knows the way around the herd, and the herd knows how to sleep, and the night knows how to pass. All Ellis has to do is be here, singing low, part of the great slow turning of it all. Half a mile out, a burrowing owl calls from the grass, a soft bubbling note, and falls silent. Ellis tips his head back and finds the North Star, steady above the sleeping land, the one fixed point the whole sky turns around. Nothing is wrong, he sings to the cattle, to himself, to the night. Nothing is wrong, nothing is wrong. A little after midnight, Ellis rides in to the edge of camp and steps down, quiet as he can. He finds the 2 men of the next watch and wakes them the trail way. A hand on the boot, a low word, never a shout, never a shake. Men wake gently out here because the herd sleeps lightly, and startled men make startled noise. The relief riders sit up without complaint. This is simply how the night is shared. They pull on their boots, pour the last warmth out of the coffee pot, and stand a moment by the coals, blinking up at the stars to learn the time. The moon is high and small now. The Big Dipper has swung halfway around the North Star, the whole night sky keeping the hours like a great, slow clock. A few words pass, softer than the wind. Herd's quiet. They bedded good. Creekside's a little boggy. Keep wide of it. Coffee's near gone, and that's all. The new riders swing up and walk their horses out into the dark, and their voices take up the singing where Ellis's left off. Ellis pulls off his boots, slides into his still warm blankets, and is asleep before he has time to notice how good it feels. The camp breathes on. The fire is down to a dull red memory of itself, and the night, patient, enormous, kind, simply continues. Now come the deepest hours of the night. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, when the world is as still as it ever gets. The wind has dropped to almost nothing. The dew is settling on the grass, on the canvas tarps, on the brims of the hats, keeping watch over empty boots. The air smells of cold water and sweet grass, and the faint sweetness of 2,000 sleeping cattle. Nothing is happening. That's the whole of it. Mile after mile, in every direction, nothing is happening. And it is beautiful. The cattle lie like dark islands in the pale grass. Now and then one sighs, a great, deep, contented sound, or shifts its weight and settles again. The night riders barely sing now. They hum, low as breath. just enough to say, "Here I am, all is well." In his blankets, the boy dreams of home, of his mother's kitchen, and the dog that followed him to the gate the morning he left. Amos, who claims he never sleeps flat on his back under the wagon with his hands folded, like a carving on an old tomb. The trail boss dreams of nothing at all, which is his favorite dream. Overhead, the Milky Way has wheeled toward the west. A late meteor slips down the sky, unseen. If you could stand apart and look at this, one small camp, one thread of smoke, 11 sleeping men and a boy held in the middle of all that dark and all those stars, you would understand something about rest that's hard to say in words. They are so small out there, and they are completely safe in their smallness, held like everything else by the same deep night. And this night, remember, is only one of thousands like it, scattered all across the west. 200 miles north in a Kansas trail town, the streets are empty and blue with moonlight, and the storekeeper's cat sits alone on the boardwalk, and the only lamp still burning is at the depot, where the telegraph operator dozes between the quiet clicks of faraway words. Out on a homestead claim in Nebraska, a settler family sleeps in a house made of prairie sod, its walls 3 feet thick, warm as a burrow, while their single window holds one small square of starlight. In the high country of Colorado, the mining camps have gone dark, and the mountains stand over them, and snow that fell 10,000 years ago sleeps on, packed deep in the shadowed ravines that never see the sun. Along 1,000 miles of railroad, section crews sleep in their bunk cars, in army posts and stage stations, in bunkhouses and wagon beds, under bridges of brand new iron and cottonwoods older than the country itself. Everywhere, the same slow tide has come in. The whole vast West, from the Rio Grande to the Missouri, is doing the simplest, oldest thing there is. It is resting. And you're resting with it now, part of that great, quiet company, every one of you under the same soft dark. Breathing in and breathing out, slow as a walking horse. Somewhere in the last hours of the dark, the night turns quietly toward morning. It happens by degrees. No one is awake to notice. The eastern edge of the sky goes from black to charcoal to the faintest gray. A thin mist rises from the creek and lies along the low ground like a soft cloth. The dew is heavy now. Every blade of grass carries its own small bead of water, waiting for the light. The birds know first. A single meadowlark, far out in the gray, tries one note, just one, and thinks better of it. The crickets slow their long song and hand the world over. In camp, Amos wakes without being called. 60 years of mornings have wound him like a clock. But even he doesn't rise just yet. He lies a moment in the warm dark under the wagon, listening to the herd, the creek, the last of the night wind, taking a kind of attendance. all there, all quiet, all well. The last watch rides its final slow circles as the stars thin out overhead. The little stars first, then the bright ones, until only the morning star is left, burning low and white above the place where the sun will come. But that's still a while away. The camp still sleeps. The boy still dreams. The blankets are still warm, and no one is going to hurry this. Not yet. For a little longer, the night belongs to the sleepers, and here we'll leave them. The herd breathing like a slow sea in the grass. The riders circling and humming their old, kind lie that is also the truth. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. The men in their bedrolls, and the boy dreaming of home, and Amos under his wagon, and the coffee pot waiting, and the trail waiting, and the morning waiting. All of it held, for now, in the deep hand of the night. They made it through this night, all those years ago, through all those nights. The trails closed in time. The grass grew back over them. The riders grew old and told these stories to children who told them to children. And that's how the night got all the way here, to you. So let it hold you, too. You don't have to follow the story anymore. You don't have to follow anything. Let the words come apart, like smoke from a banked fire. Let them drift. There is nothing you need to do. There is nowhere you need to be. You are warm. You are safe. And the night is very, very old and very good at this. Sleep now, like a tired rider in deep grass, under all those patient stars. Good night.